Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is James, and I am the Game Master for today's game of RuneQuest, role-playing in Glorantha. This is the second session of our new Hero campaign for RuneQuest, where we are going through some of the material in the RuneQuest starter set, which shows you what you can play, what you can do, and all of the exciting things that you can jump into with your games in Glorantha and using the RuneQuest system. I'd like to very quickly say thank you to Sirenscape for providing the wonderful music for this game. And I'd also like to say thank you to our wonderful cast, who I will now throw to get them to introduce themselves very briefly. Bridget, could we start with you?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Bridget Jeffries. I am a community ambassador with Chaosium. So if you're looking to write for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, holler at your girl. You can connect with me at Bridget. That is a bridge that you walk across with 2 T's at chaosium.com. But tonight, I am playing Iratia, which is a young, turbulent, angry teenager. I'm going to attempt to channel my anger despite the shade that was happening on the Discord, which is absolutely hysterical. But she and her younger brother are trying to retrieve something that was taken back from them. And she's very upset about it. She's very hurt. And she's also like, I really don't want to be an adult, but I don't have a choice.
It's a difficult balance to have to strike. But yes, exactly. And we'll see how you do in terms of striking that balance throughout the session. Let's throw across to Dave.
Yeah, g'day, my name is Dave, and I'm also part of the digital content team at Chaosium. And tonight, or today, wherever we are in the world, I am playing Telos. I am Iratia's said younger brother, and where she is angry, I am broody. By our powers combined, we will channel all of the teenage virtues. And yeah, gotta reclaim our lost artifacts and our pride.
Absolutely. So speaking of which, let's give a very brief recap about what happened in the previous session. We met our new heroes, Iratia and Telos, and they were preparing for a harvest festival in the small village of Oakton, which is owned by the Varmandi clan, which is the clan that our heroes are a part of. Just as the harvest festival was getting ready to take off, a precious artifact, a broken piece of a statue that shows a smile from a statue of Ernalda, the god of earth and the harvest and the Earth Mother, was taken away. After investigating the scene of the crime, our heroes managed to figure out that it had been taken by the rival Orleving clan. They journeyed across into the Orleving clan's land, illegally so, or at least a little suspiciously so, avoiding a patrol along the way. And they walked into the center of town, where they began to speak to one of the priests of Ernalda, who was praying in front of the statue that this broken piece of masonry had come from. And now the village has been roused and everybody is gathering together. And our heroes are going to try and have to figure out how they're going to get this piece of statue back, what exactly is going to happen, and what the way forward is without causing a clan or tribal war, because these things, they're a little tense. They can tend to happen. We'll jump right in, but first, I just want to very quickly ask 2 questions one question each to each of you about the previous session, just so we can get a sense of your characters. Tell us, I want to start with you. You mentioned very quickly that you had never strayed into the Orleving clan's lands last time. You stayed just outside, and we touched a little bit on how you might have reacted to the landscape. But now that you have broadened your horizons to a certain extent, is this giving you more of a sense of wanderlust? Do you want to go out further, or is it giving you a greater sense of attachment to the lands of your home, the lands that you are used to?
I think it's the former. I mean, I haven't really journeyed beyond the forests that border our little town in the past, even on my year-long sabbatical. In worship of Yinkin. But I think seeing these massive grazelands, and not just in learning what we lost, but also just seeing the differences that can exist throughout the world. And possibly, I mean, we would have heard stories long ago about even, lands even beyond this. But this is the first time I've actually seen one of them. So now I'm beginning to think of the other lands that I've heard about and wondering if those could also be true.
Something to potentially voyage to later on in the campaign. Thank you very much. And Aradia, I want to ask you a similar question. You are very involved in community, in harmony and the ways of civilization. When you get into the All Living Village, when you arrive at Greenstone Village, do you feel an obligation to try and exist within their social dynamic, within their cultural structure, or are they just enemy to you at this point?
Well, I think she's probably cut somewhere down the middle. She is so off balance because she doesn't really know what to expect. The one thought that keeps racing through her mind is like she would not. It's not that she wouldn't have the courage to be here alone, but she's really grateful for her brother for being here. So she has somebody to lean on. She's also very angry that he's not around more often. So versus like hyper focusing on like, do I assimilate? Do I try to meet them halfway? Do I force them to meet me? How do I maintain a sense of harmony here? There's just so many emotions that are going back and forth. So I think what she's going to do is focus on the one thing that she assumes that she can control right now is her feelings towards her brother right now, which is simultaneous gratitude and resentment for where we are. So she's running from that particular responsibility right now.
Absolutely fantastic. The two of you isolated with just each other inside Greenstone Village. It's there that we're going to pick up the scenario. So where we left things last time, you had just started to sort of bring the conversation louder. You had spoken to the priest of Ernaldo, who was kneeling in front of the broken statue. That is Olana Stonetender. And she said she is going to go and rouse the clan. She's going to start speaking to people. And you agreed. You didn't try to keep things subtle. You brought it open. And your next few hours were a blur of activity in which you were bustled from one area to another. At first, everybody came out into the town square and there was yelling and talking and important people who wanted to make their voices heard and, others who were just gawking and staring. And then you were taken to the clan hall, which was shut at the time, not just because it was nighttime, but because it seems like there wasn't anything in particular happening at that point. While you were there, you saw a bunch of people rush to the back and open it. And you realized they were heading to an armory, which wasn't a great look. So you were taken away from the clan hall so that you didn't spot the armory contents or any secrets inside. And eventually you ended up at just some person's house where you had a bunch of conversations with all of the senior members of the village that were present. This would have taken several hours, and we're going to get into all of the stuff that happened and all of the actions you could have taken across that time. But briefly, I would like to ask you each to make an insight own species check. I want to get an idea of what kind of read you might have gotten on the village broadly.
Oh, I missed it by 3.
Missed it by 3? Oh, the worst. How did you go, Dave? Sorry,
I was just finding it on my character sheet, insight own species. And so I have it pretty much unmodified, so I have to roll a 30.
And there may be some more important rolls coming, so probably not a good time to augment these with passions or with roots.
I also just kind of went for it. I rolled a 6, which is 20% of, which is the special range?
That is a special range. Well, hey. So that is the second level of success, which means that you have gotten a better result. Well, fantastic. So Aradia, you're still, a little tense. And like you said, you're focusing on Telos. And maybe he's being a little unusual at this point because Telos, you're usually not super insightful about others. But at this point, you've managed to learn a few things and figure out a little bit about what seems to be going on in the town. I'm going to tell you 2 important pieces of information. First of all, this town seems to be in a lot worse of a state than they would like to let you know. The clan hall wasn't just shut because it was the middle of the night and because there wasn't anything important happening. The clan hall appears to be shut because there's not the, capacity and amount of people to staff it and to take care of it. The Milani tribe have sent troops away to fight the Lunars now. Eventually, yeah, it took them a while. But their village right now is suffering, and it's suffering in a similar way to your village. You very quickly realize that there is no chief here for you to talk to. They are scrambling and they're trying to just bring anybody who is able to have a conversation. You're primarily going to end up talking to two people. Izette the Winged, who is basically acting as chief at the time being, and she is a Vingan worshipper, much like you, Iratia. And you're also going to talk to a man named Vorman Bugbuilder, who you imagine to be the harvest master, much like the man you met earlier in your own village, who is taking care of getting everything in and getting all the food. You end up at his house, and you'll see these great rows of hives and interesting construction set up, where it seems that he has a hobby of building homes and structures and taking care of many bugs that can help in the creation of harvest. It's composting, but at a very extreme level.
Awesome.
The second thing you're going to realize is that the village don't really seem to know what's going on a lot of the time. And the theft of the stone piece of masonry appears to have been executed in an unsanctioned way or in a surprised way. You don't spot anybody who is going, oh, I know what's going on, I've figured this out, until Olana explains the situation to them, and then they start to maybe realize a few things that could have happened. But yeah, this is a little bit of a frantic moment, and they don't quite know what to do. They're just as confused as you. Anyway, what is your approach going to be across the evening? You're going to be given a chance to speak to everybody, to put forward your case as it is, to make demands, and to explain why you're here. Is what you're doing as simple as saying, that statue piece is ours, you need to give it back to us, otherwise, it's going to come to blows? Are you trying to persuade them that, this is an accident, but we can work this out? What's your general approach to this conversation? What would you like to get across?
Well, I will have told Iratia that I've noticed that they're on the back foot and this wasn't sanctioned. I'll say this was not part of a larger scheme or anything, so maybe there's a chance this can be set to rights. I'd suggest we just demand it back, give no terms, and see what their defense is. If they say no, then what's their reason for it? At least then they're at least aligning themselves with whoever stole it, and then we can go back to the board and think of something else.
Yeah, that feels good. Jim, I have a couple quick questions for you. Just a refresher from last week and a tease out. When we originally came upon Orlana and she was praying, we interrupted her. Did she, or am I making this up, make some type of passing comment like there was either a legal precedent or some type of a statement like, no, that piece actually belongs to us? Was there something that she had trickled out there? If so, can I get a refresher on that?
Absolutely. So the history of that piece of masonry is that when the Varmandi tribe used to live in Ormthane Vale, they used to live in Greenstone Village. This is your old ancestral home. That piece of masonry was broken off a larger statue, and it was taken away by your tribe. Now, under the circumstances of the piece, it's a little unclear. That was an important artifact which was taken, so there might be expectations that it should have been returned when the clans signed a peace. But there is also, a valid thing saying, well, it's been ours for generations, it's been in our village and you came in and took it. So there is definitely space for some kinds of argument. Does that answer your question?
Okay. That does. No, flawless. You stuck the landing there. My second question is, she may be projecting onto Orlana on this one, but she felt that Orlana was at least borderline sympathetic towards us. So while we're dealing with Izette and Vorman, how often are we seeing her, and what's her demeanor as she's floating around these little pockets that we keep getting shuffled around?
Absolutely. So at first, she is very, very present, and she is there explaining the situation to Izette and to Vorman and trying to mediate. You can see that she is conflicted herself. Obviously, she has twin roles as a priestess of Onalda and also as a member of Greenstone Village and the Orlevin clan. Mm-hmm. And this conflict clearly begins to build in her more and more as the evening progresses. After about 90 minutes or so, she will excuse herself and explain that she needs to go and meditate and try and seek the wisdom and guidance of Analva about this conflict. And she will step away and head towards the temple in Greenstone Village, leaving the two of you to talk to Izette and Vorman.
Wow, yet another maternal figure that just walked out on him. Great.
Oh, brutal. Yeah. I mean,
great.
Look,
at this point, we're just used to it. We're used to it. Whatever.
Great.
Betrayed again.
Again.
Par for the course at this stage. Anyway, so Telos, you've made clear, you've had ample chance to whisper across to Iratia and to try and make some subtle plans. You think a straight demand, no context is probably the best way.
Absolutely.
Are you happy to go with that? Iratia, do you agree, or are you thinking something else?
She is tired. She is hungry. This has been a long trip. They haven't had any rest. No, yeah, let's demand the statue back and we're leaving. And she's not an artist at negotiations. She doesn't even know what to expect here. So yeah, let's just demand it back and see what happens.
I can see a couple of skills that would be applicable here, and I suppose it's the way that you approach this. So let me suggest a couple, and you tell me which you think is the most logical. You could use the bargain skill here, and this would you be sort of trying to argue some kind of trade, maybe some kind of fairness. And it doesn't mean that you have to be literally offering things right now, but you are trying to say that based on what's happened in the past, it's only fair that they return this. You could be using the charm skill. That is literally you just coming in and saying, this is all a big misunderstanding. I'm so friendly. I know we're rivals, but you don't want to do this. You could be using the orate skill. That is you trying to make some kind of speech, maybe appealing to the legacies of the gods or invoking some kind of ancient tribal lore. Alternatively, there's always the intimidate skill, where you literally come in and, slam your chest and have your hand on your weapon and start making loud demands. What are you thinking? Not sure.
Yep. Yeah, this is more your wheelhouse, right, Aratia? That's like we've seen you speak in the village before, right?
Yeah, so she'll probably, if this is going to lean onto the initial social skill, she'll probably lean onto the orate skill.
Fantastic.
Where it's more, this isn't the grand, call to arms, harrowing speech. This is more like she's tired. She's tired and she's irritated. It's like, listen, we're here. We're not leaving. Somebody took it. Somebody here has it. It was taken in the most dishonorable manner. We're tired. You're tired. You have things to do. We have things to do. There's some curse that's shifting between both of our tribes because of this conflict. Give us the peace back so we can leave.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So why don't you go ahead and make an orate check? And this is the conversation that you'll have across the course of the evening.
I'm going to augment this one with everything in my power.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you think you're augmenting it with?
We absolutely have to. Let me see.
Oh, we have got a strange visual glitch occurring where we appear to have lost you into the background.
The green screen's not happy.
The green screen is highly upset. Are we back? Did I glitch?
Yeah, we seem to be back. Your dark walk rune magic from last session was still in effect. That was great.
She accidentally cast that spell there for a second. So, you know what? When in Rome, let's play on their field. I am going to attempt to augment through the Earth Rune. It looks like one of its primary skills is communication.
Absolutely.
And we're going to lean on the whole heartbreak with the fact that Mom 2.0 just walked out on us too. So we're going to attempt to augment Earth.
All right, let's go for it. What's your...
terrible. This is my lowest rune.
Oh, dear.
Okay. She hit a 66.
Right. Is that a...
Over 40.
Oh,
over
no.
40. Okay. Unfortunately, that's not going to be a success, which means that since you have failed to augment, you're going to take a -10 to the actual orate check. So what does that bring your orate skill to?
All right. Let's see here. Orate is a 55 with a modifier, so we're down to a 45.
Down to a 45. So not fantastic, and there's no other circumstances which are going to give you a flat bonus. Let's see how it goes.
Much better.
Quickly, Jim, I think it's only, you subtract 20% from all further rolls using that rune.
Oh, okay.
for the day.
Yes,
so it
sorry,
lasts longer.
I was looking at inspiration based on passions.
Skills,
My apologies.
Yeah. So it lasts longer, but it is only for the rune. So you've kind of locked that rune out and made that one weaker, is how I understand it to work.
Yes, excellent. Absolutely. So, yeah, you are correct. Subtracting 10 is for passion usage. Failure on a rune usage is you subtract -20 from all rolls using that rune until a day is spent meditating on the rune. So you'll probably have some time to do
that one out for a little while.
Yeah, in a bit.
Got it.
Okay. So it'll be -20, which will mean your aura rate will be 35, not 45. Even harder. But let's see how you go.
No. It doesn't reduce the skill. It just
it doesn't reduce this. Oh no, it's the root. Sorry.
So the skills actually, you just have it inspired, but that rune's kind of been locked off for indefinite until you get a chance to meditate on it. Which possibly won't happen for a while.
Thank you for the clarification. Clearly, I have gotten myself mixed up. Please, go ahead and make the aura check.
No, we're rocking and rolling. She hit a 21 under that, what was it, 55, 45?
Would have had it anyway, easy.
Woo, yeah, so thank goodness.
All right. So with a success, what you're very quickly able to do is convince the members of the Orleving tribe that they don't want conflict and they want to resolve this situation as quickly as possible. They're sort of on your side. That said, pretty quickly it becomes clear that they don't have all the information themselves. After about an hour of talking, they can't really present the statue to you, and it becomes clear that they're not exactly sure where it is. Eventually, you will learn that it was the 3 patrollers that you met earlier on the road. That is Fala, Musin, and Corlin, who appear to have taken the statue. They were the ones who got it, the 3 people crouched in the cluster of woods, and it was, as discussed, youngsters taking action themselves. And once they return, there is some very quick, hushed conversation between the 3 youngsters and between the seniors in the village, and you immediately become aware that there is an argument happening. Now, with a regular success, basically, the elders of the village might be on your side, but the youngsters are forced to deal with themselves. And once the conversation turns internal, they will respectfully ask you to step away and send you to what is effectively neutral ground. That is, they will ask you to go and spend some time in the Greenstone Temple, the Temple of Onalva, until they can resolve the situation and figure out exactly what's going on. Okay.
I think we acquiesce. It does feel a bit like them. It's kind of embarrassing for them, is how I'm reading it. Like they seem some flavor of less than competent.
That is definitely coming through, and like I said, it seems
because
like
they're not taking a firm line of like doesn't matter if we didn't know it, we've got to get stuffed. Like they seem to be very willing to compromise here, right? But they're also kind of stalling, and we're talking to the elders. Like we're 2 youths, and they don't really seem to be able to come to a decision, right?
These are effectively the acting elders, and at the beginning, they're acting on not enough information, and then once they get to actually speak to the 3 youngsters, it becomes very similar to the conversation that the collection of you had around the Tree of Vengeance, where there are different factions yelling, and they're trying to balance all of the different tempers and thinking themselves. And you kind of start seeing all of this occur. You succeeded on your insight check. You can tell that they're in the middle of some kind of internal strife, which is when they will ask you to step away, take a moment inside the temple. That said, you can take any additional action you would like before doing so. And, sorry, did you have something to add?
Do we see the remnant of the statue? Do they have it?
No, you do not see it at any point. What happens is that someone will come in and will alert Izzet and Vorman that the 3 youngsters have returned, at which point they will, so one of them will dart away, and you'll hear a conversation emerge. The 3 will come in and be talking in the back of the room while Izzet, entertains you, and it's very disorganized. You're angry enough that it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, but it's super awkward.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But we just assumed that they were the ones that took it. We put that together.
You'll eventually learn that the only people who have left the village at that time will
Are them.
and they will admit to you. Izzet and Vorman will say these three were the ones who took it,
and they did it without being directed to. They took that upon themselves.
That is correct. They acted independently. It was not a sanctioned activity by the larger authorities within the clan.
Okay, very good.
All right. After acquiescing, the two of you will be taken towards the temple. We will be able to sit inside and have a little bit of time. Olana is there and she greets you and she will return to meditate. The temple, for reference, it's an enormous round stone structure. One of those, it's not the traditional kind of pews Christian church. It's round with all these little spots for meditation, small shrines, and you can see incense and all kinds of religious accoutrements that have been scattered throughout. There is moss covering everything, and there are areas where the stone is cracked and like dirt is spilling out. But since this is a place that worships the earth, that seems to be very par for the course. While the two of you are inside the temple, you will have the opportunity to make any discussions. You can also, there are great windows that gaze out on the town. And by now, the dawn is very, very slowly starting to break. You will have spoken all through the night. And you'll have an opportunity to have any discussions amongst yourself or ask any questions to Alana. Just to reiterate what has happened throughout this conversation, when it begins, they don't really know what's going on. They eventually figure out, as the youngsters that have taken it, they say, okay, we will have a word with them. And that turns into a whole argument. And they say, let us get back to you. It's very possible that they decide to, say, no, we're not giving it back. And you haven't really reached an accord yet at this point.
Can we assume that we can talk in confidence without Alana hearing us?
Yes, you can step away. Alana is deep in meditation, and she also this would also be very rude of her to listen in, but not that she could.
Okay, well then, as we're beginning to talk, I'll just tell us we're kind of just walking towards the doors and just doing some basic checks to make sure that they're not being set up to be like attacked. I just check the doors are unlocked and we're not being sort of blockaded in. I'll look out the window and make sure people aren't creeping up towards us just as we talk. I'm just going through. I assume we are safe, but always best to be certain.
Absolutely, that makes total sense. If you'd like, you can make a search roll to be literally going through things in detail, but just in terms of you peek out the window, no one's there. And with your inside check, there wouldn't really be anyone. If they sent anyone, it would be Thala, Musin, and Korlon. There weren't really anybody of heroing age, much in the same way that you didn't have anybody. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But I think we want to talk in private for a moment.
Yeah.
So, they don't seem to be very clear on what has happened, and I don't think they know what to do. I think if we propose something, we might be able to take it back, strike a deal, if we're willing to compromise, which I'm not so sure we are.
This is like as she's walking past you, because she's probably been in a nonstop pace since that argument broke out, and then they shut us out of the conversation. And she says, I agree. They don't have their house in order. If these three were acting outside of the knowledge of the tribe, that's one thing. They also abandoned their post. They abandoned their patrols, which they're really terrible at in the first place, but they abandoned their patrols to sleep over in our lands and take what was ours. And this is again as she's pacing back and forth.
But everything that we've heard of these people that kicked us out of our homeland, they're not particularly impressive. They seem to be as in disorder as we are, possibly worse.
She will stop. We are not in disorder.
You've seen what happened. We've lost the one artifact we held. We are in disorder.
She's going to see that you for a second, like just a hiss and a yap, and then she's going to continue pacing.
But we can put this right. Mistakes were made. Accidents happened, but we will put this right. We'll bring the statue home and things will be good again.
I need you to promise me something right now. We don't leave here without that statue.
It could get bad.
We don't leave without that statue. We can't go home without it. Our people don't deserve that.
Telos takes a moment. It's like weigh it up. Like he fully gives the weight of the promise its due thought. and then will nod to you and say, "We will not leave. We will bring it home."
And she's going to continue pacing.
Okay. There's kind of a heaviness in the air after the promise is laid, and now every moment of waiting starts to feel more painful. You want something to happen. Orlana Stonetender, the Onalda priestess, seems to detect this, and she'll eventually stand up from her meditation, and she'll walk over to the two of you, give you a brief nod, and say, would the two of you mind? I have something I'd like to show you. I feel it might be interesting to you.
Follow.
She'll turn away and she'll lead you towards the back of the Onalda temple. You will know from the way that Gloranthan temples are set up that this is taking you to a more private, more holy area. This would usually be reserved for special ceremonies, and free access would only be given to people who are initiates of Onalda. She takes you round through to the back part of the temple where you see a staircase that leads down underground. She motions and leads you down under the earth into the part of Onalda's land where you can see a second worship area, a much more private shrine. And this one is this beautiful little altar that is set up in the middle of a large room where amazing carvings and plants and woven gemstones and rocks are all set throughout the walls. It is a grand labor of love. And upon spotting it, you are 100% sure that this could only have been created by the intense magic of Onalda priestesses. They are channeling everything and all their control of the earth into making this place beautiful. She stops for a minute and lets you take it in. And then stepping down, she will lead you across and towards one of the side walls. Along the way, she says, I told you your mother spent time at this temple. The duties of Onalda priestesses transcend war between clans and tribes. So she spent time here, and in doing so, she contributed to the work of this place. And she walks towards this side wall, and then you can see a particular vein of earth, a particular set of carvings, of sculptures, of symbology. And with a true magical sense, you immediately feel a connection to it. And you become aware that this is the aspect of this room that was created and forged by your mother. I want to ask the two of you to maybe decide what this could have been. It can be any form. It could be a series of, roots that make some kind of image turning into a face or something like that. It could be a sheet of like perfect fertile earth that flowers have started to sprout out of. It could be something more plain, maybe a section of rock that has been uncovered underground and that is sitting perfectly. What do the two of you think? Jump in with any ideas you might have.
I've got the start of an idea. So this was made by a group of priestesses, and each left their mark on the room, their own piece, the roots that are winding together, or the grass that grows down here in the dark caverns. But our mother, as she did in our home, was the piece that connected all of them together. Wherever there is a seam between two sections, she made sure that it was seamless, and we can track her path through all of it. It's almost the connection, and that's also very reminiscent of how we feel in our hometown now that she's gone, and that sort of glue, that connection that held the community together is missing, and things are beginning to fall apart. And possibly even here you can see that now, some of the pieces that are fraying now, two things will look a bit more stark next to one another, something like that.
Lovely. I think that's wonderful.
Jesus, Dave, that was beautiful.
That's great. Do you want to add anything to that, Bridget?
I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. That was phenomenal.
Win-win.
All right.
Win-win.
You're able to trace and walk around and see all of this beautiful architecture that your mother put into place. Does it evoke feelings of, is this a sad moment or is this a beautiful moment? Do you see something that your mother created and go, wow, that's great? Or is it just missing her even more now when you realize that everywhere is lacking her?
I think it's a sadder moment. I think it's a quiet and a very internal one. But tell us at least.
Okay, perfect. All right, Radia?
Yeah, I think this is like all engines powered off. So she probably came down with some intentionality, some focus, some like, yeah, what do you have to show us? What do you have to say to So it's a very abrupt halt, just like, the wind was knocked out of her as she's just kind of like looking around this room, and she's tracing her mother's path, and she's reflecting back on a mom that she's probably never going to see again, and she's not okay with reconciling with that thought.
Absolutely. As the heaviness kind of sits in the air, eventually Alana will say, your mother going off to fight against the Lunas, I miss her deeply too. Of course, not as much as I'm sure the two of you do, but her connection to the land and to the magics of this area is felt. It's a hole in what holds everything together. Battle and conflict, it takes everything from us. And after meditating on this, after considering, I hope that we can all find a way to stop things coming to bloodshed, stop a needless war between our clans, and stop a struggle. The two of you don't need to add anything, but she will stand in quiet contemplation, admiring the walls, and eventually motion for the collection of you to leave and head back upstairs.
I will torture her. I say, for everything that our mother did for this temple and for our communities, we kept one small piece. And when our mother was gone, when she could not keep it, and when our community was weak, your people crept in under darkness without invitation or offering, and they stole it. And now our crops are flooding, and we cannot celebrate our mother's god on her most holy day. There may be bloodshed if this is not solved soon. This will be rectified, and we are not leaving without it. No matter what it takes.
Her face falls somewhat, but there is like a focus in her eyes, and she nods and she says, I agree. You're right. What they took, they shouldn't have done. They stole from you. The problem is, they might not see it that way. And my sway within this community, it only goes so far. If I make a proclamation, they may choose not to listen. And if they choose not to listen to that, not to listen to the gods in this case, then the step towards war is a small one from there. I understand you don't want to return home without the statue. I just hope, and she kind of bites back something. Her eyes will flick towards you, Aratia. Are you giving the same vibe off, or do you appear to be making any more leeway? Ooh, rolling. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean into this mercurial turpin. No, she's actually crying. She's in the corner, her eyes are glossed over, the ducts are full, and she's got tears coming down her face. So she's more giving her that desperate, why won't you help us more than this type of face. But she's got her arms over her chest. She's trying to maintain the anger, but she's actually crying.
I think upon seeing this, Alana tries to say what she was going to say again, but then you can see her getting choked up, and her eyes probably missed a little bit. She flicks from one of you to the other and goes to try and say something, but then you hear a loud noise come from upstairs and the sound of people entering the temple. And you'll hear a young woman's voice. You would recognize it, Aratia. It's the voice of Fala, the leader of the three children. And she calls out, Priestess Varmundi, where are you? Come up here. The priestess looks between the two of you. She'll follow you up, assuming you attend.
Yep.
Stepping back upstairs, you find Fala standing with Musin and Corlin. They are not wearing their weapons. They are just sort of dressed normally, although Musin is definitely like, he has his fists clenched and he's giving you that aggressive attitude. They're standing in the center of the temple and there is no one else with them. They appear to have walked in without the elders and without anybody else. When you arrive, Fala will step forward and she will cast an eye across the collection of you. She will say, Orlana, priestess, I need you to witness what we're saying here. And she'll look towards the two of you. We've come to a decision. We've thought, and we've considered what Iratia said, and the words she spoke are true. The piece of the statue, the artifact, it's yours. It was taken with skill and cleverness, and your ancestors earned it when they took it.
Oh. I misunderstood that.
Ooh, I thought you were going a different direction.
I thought they were bumming themselves up. I was like, all right, chill.
I was like, Alan, we're going to war. Got it. All right. All right. Ooh, got that. Ooh, sorry.
You feel a great surge, and then comes the but.
Yeah.
And the
but. When we took it back, we showed skill, and we showed dedication. And if it was yours when you took it, then it's ours when we take it back. And there's a fierceness in her eye. She looks like maybe she wants to leave it at that, but her eyes flick across to Corlin at the side, and then she looks back. But, again, if we did not give you the chance to take it once more, then it would not be fair. It would not be right. We've taken the piece, and we've hidden it where it is well protected. We want to make you an offer. We should prove ourselves. We propose a competition, trials. Whoever shows the most skill, the most dedication, the most connection to the gods, the statue should be theirs. A competition for it. What say you then? If you agree, and if you win, we will return it to you, and we will renounce all claims for the time being. Our clans aren't well at the moment, neither of them are, and we can have peace between the Varmandi and the Orleving until the last Luna, the true enemy, is driven from Dragon Pass. Her eyes flick between the two of you, looking for some kind of sign, acceptance, anger. Now, I will note quickly that they've confirmed it's in the village somewhere. So there you go.
Oh, Iratia wants to jump out of her skin and attack this girl so bad. Oh, God.
Well, I mean...
Sort her out.
Oh, God, it's so bad.
So, I mean, obviously there's so much social convention that is wrapped up in these moments, and whoever takes the first swing, whoever makes the first offensive move so much is going to fall upon their shoulders. You can see that they're definitely weaponizing that to a certain extent against you.
We're also in a holy place as well. Like, we're in a temple to the, like, they've chosen their venue.
Absolutely.
It's a great
and
power
they've even
play.
asked the priestess to witness.
Yeah.
I'll give Aratia the opening to respond first. Otherwise, I'll step in.
Oh my goodness, it almost feels like Iratia's feet are like growing with vines that are stapling her into the ground, because everything impulsively in her spirit wants to leap out of her skin and just go at this girl's throat. But she also recognizes that she's in a temple and her brother is here, and we have to at least feign some form of diplomacy. She's also in a position where she doesn't really know where her leverage is. So she's going to have to stumble into this the best she can, and just like through gritted teeth, what type of competitions?
She glances around for a moment, and then with her kind of face hardening, she says, well, it's the time of harvest at the moment, and in a few days, the process should begin properly. So I would propose that we get this done quickly. We are in Onalda's season, the season of Earth, but her presence is known throughout the year. We propose 5 trials, 1 for each of the Orlanthi seasons, 1 held each day of the coming harvest. We can decide on them as a group. I know that tradition dictates that we should each take turns to make demands, make suggestions, and set time and place. Corlon knows the rules, he knows the laws of these things. She'll look towards the priestess as well at this point, and she will say, Orlana, what does Onalda say of this request? What do you think? Orlana hesitates for a moment.
Oh, the look she gives her. Oh, I swear to God. She's got one chance at this one. That is the look that Irata is giving her, like across her face.
What is Irata hoping that Orlana will do?
That whole proclamation that she promised in the basement, she wants to see that rolled out.
All right.
That they were in the wrong, we were in the right, that this entire thing is absolute shenanigans. She wants to see that, and that is the look that she's cutting her eyes over at it. But it's, as much as I would love to say that this is more of a pleading look, it's borderline threatening. Like, if you drop the ball here, it is done.
So Orlana sees that look. Do you want to make a check of some sort here, or
I
do you
would
think
love
that it's more, up to you. You could make an intimidate check. You could make, you could even make a charisma ×5 check if you would like here. But I think it's also totally fine for you to just leave it as sort of this is over to Orlana, and we'll see what she does.
Just because I absolutely love the mercurial nature of this character, I'm just going to roll it and see what happens. We'll do the charisma ×5. Which is a 60, which is just a regular success.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So you lean over and you can definitely see Orlana's face kind of like tensing and she is deeply conflicted about what she's going to do next. Eventually, she will say, bloodshed between our clans is not the way forward. Onalda won't now, at least, sanction battle. She is the mother of us all, and she cannot and will not. But rivalries, competitions between siblings, although she may not like them, they are within the purview of her understanding. And therefore, as her vessel, if this is the only way forward, I will sanction it. But I will only sanction it if the Varmandi agree to it. If they do not agree to these competitions, then we must find a different way. And that other way may be darker. And she will turn towards the two of you, and this time she gives you a pleading look, Iratia. She's kind of flipped everything back onto you. She's open. It's over to you at this point. You can refuse this offer. You can refuse the official trials and turn instead to other trials. There are obviously other ways that you could approach this. If they've made this offer, then by logic, you could just steal back the statue and they would have no claim to it. Alternatively, there is always battle. There is always just the direct, okay, you and me right now, duel to the death approach. Although throwing that out in a temple might be a little harsh. This would be at least somewhat in keeping with Orlanthi tradition. They're very into, who can drink the most, who can run the fastest. There's these kind of competitions are relatively common, but it's up to you whether at this stage you think it's suitable.
So that look that she throws back to me, Ireta is going to catch it, and then she's going to turn her back to the three there as disrespectfully as possible. I mean, this is going to be very blatantly, you can look at my back, and she's going to face her brother, and through gritted teeth, what do you think?
Throughout the conversation, Telos has been stood to the side, almost unmoving, blinking slowly, almost sleepily, as he runs over the deal as best he can. And he says, "At the moment it is unfair, but I think we can make it fair. I think we take it. I think we can win. You and I are better than they are. We can take it back." And then, if Ireta nods, he'll address the trio and say, "We took it first, and as you said, you crept into our village under the cover of darkness without invitation, with great skill. But we have done the same. We came upon your priestess with her back turned and the statue unprotected. If we wanted to, we could have taken another piece then. You say that if this trial goes ahead, and if we win, we can take it back for a time. No. If we win this, we take it back forever. But regardless, your treachery will be punished. We will take another piece as well. We will return home with 2 pieces, and they will be ours in perpetuity. That is the deal. Additionally, there are 3 of you and 2 of us. That is not fair."
Okay, so Fala immediately kind of bristles, and you can see her go to argue. She starts to say something, but Orlana holds up a hand and will say to her very firmly, "What Telos has said is fair and it is true. These should be your terms. If you are willing to, if you're willing to make such stringent demands of them, you must be willing to make concessions." The kind of authority passed down after maybe a slight period of protestation. You can see a very Iracha-esque glare that gets thrown from Fala towards Orlana, but eventually she nods and she says, "I speak with the authority of my clan then. In regards to you taking another piece, in regards to these challenges, I, Fala, daughter of Zastan, I agree on behalf of the Orleving. If you can best us, you can take a piece of statue back. You may take another trophy from it, another holy artifact. But if we succeed, you renounce your claim, it is ours, and we will keep it. As to the difference between us, between our numbers, what would you propose? Someone can step away. Corlon could serve as arbiter. He is knowledgeable in the ways of the law. Otherwise, if you want some other boon to even the fields, we can grant it to you. What do you propose, and do you agree?"
Tell you what, there are 5 trials, 3 of you and 2 of us. In time we will tire, and we will become weaker. But my sister and I are better than you are at any challenge you can put forward. I propose, for 1 trial, we may work together to best one of you alone. A trial of our choice.
She nods, looks towards her companions. She's filled with confidence, so is Mullen. Poor Corlon is going, no, because he's pretty sure he's going to get some kind of combat trial against you too.
And we're going to gang up and kick the shit out of him.
But Fala will spin around and will nod and said, "Agreed. That is fair." She will step forward and spit in her hand and hold it out in some kind of, traditional, let's agree on this. Looking between the 2 of you, which of you wants to make the pact. And the traditional idea would be for you to step forward to give one of your ancestors' names to identify yourself and to make this pact.
I mean, you really dominated the hell out of this negotiation. You want to take it, Telos?
Sure. In that case, I, Telos, son of Hindala Stone Sister, will agree to these terms in representative of me and my sister. And I will mark my palm in the same manner and shake her hand.
The deal is made. Standing off to the side, Orlana steps towards you, Iracha, and will just say under her breath, "Thank you." And then step away, and the collection of you can move on to the next stage of negotiation.
So just to out of character recap everything that we've agreed on, because I don't want to try and be sneaky. Like we'll carry it is that we are going to do 5 trials. The 3 of them will match the 2 of us in each of them. We 1v1 basically. But for one of the trials, we are allowed to pair up and work together to overwhelm them. To the victor goes the stolen piece, as well as all rights indefinite forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. If they get it, we renounce it. And if we get it, though, because of their treachery and their sneakery and all that other nonsense, we will also take another piece that they will yield. And we're not going to try and do something cheeky, like technically the entire statue is another piece. We'll be having that. It'll be another piece of similar size.
That sounds exactly in agreement. You know, you could, if you wanted to be aggressive, say the whole statue is another piece, but that would probably lead to conflict. With that agreement, with those terms, that seems like it is going to work for everybody.
Is the statue itself broken? Like, is there another piece that can be taken, or will we be breaking up a holy statue to take another piece? Which feels a little...
so, you know...
We can make them do it, I think.
The statue is made of old, stone that is weathered away and broken apart and held together by moss. I am certain that if over the trials of harvest you demonstrate yourself as worthy of Ernalda, when you go forward like a Jenga piece, there will be a bit that just looks like it is so ready to pull out.
Hell yeah. All right, that's awesome.
Okay.
All right. Excellent.
With that in mind, the rest of the village can be alerted momentarily about this, and it appears that Fala is acting, at least with some authority. She has clearly discussed this with Izzet and Vorman, and this is what the village has decided to do. This has been the best compromise that they have come to. And standing around then, Corlon steps forward and he begins to speak here. And he says, well then, there are 5 seasons. The season of sea, season of fire, the season of earth, season of dark, and the season of storm. You will need a trial for each one. Tradition would dictate that one of us speaks the trial, and then the other can specify a time and a place.
We're doing the 5 days like back to back though, so the time's a little like...
Well, yeah, exactly. And he will elaborate. He will say, although since we are doing these quickly and some trials, the time may be complicated, I propose it is approaching noon now. Perhaps whoever names the location should say at noon or at midnight.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Enough?
That's sick.
All right. Which means that there is sea, fire, earth, and dark.
And storm's going to be a duel at the end, right?
Yes. So adding that, jumping onto that, he will explain that the tradition would be that if you reach the season of storm, that is the season of combat. It is where raids happen, and if you get that far, that would mean that there's 2 on each side, and the only way that could be resolved would be with a duel. And it would take place probably at a neutral point between the 2 towns, and the terms of the duel would be set upon arrival. So depending on how hostile things have gotten, it might be, to first blood, or it might go further.
Etc. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
This is very cool. So just to repeat one more time: sea, fire, earth, dark, storm.
That's correct. Sea, fire, earth, dark, storm.
And it's first to 3 points basically.
First to gain a majority. Yeah, whoever gets 3 first, and that way the storm, the duel, the last one and the most severe, would happen only if you need a desperate tiebreaker.
Stepping back, Iratia, or actually I guess Bridget, I propose. So my highest elemental affinity is fire, so I propose I will suggest the fire challenge. What's your highest elemental rune of those?
It's going to be air, secondary by water, so I could take the sea.
Maybe sea. Does that suit you? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Hell yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
Earth, just as an FYI, I'm turned off on the Earth rune.
You are currently turned off on the rune,
That's
so that
awesome.
works quite well.
That's really cool.
So that's either gonna have to be the team up or go do it, little brother. We believe in you.
We're not gonna get a day to meditate. I actually really hope that comes in. That on Earth Day we're kind of a little out of it.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. All right, awesome.
Excellent. So that leaves with, for them, Earth and Darkness. You negotiate this, and they will kind of step aside, and they will begin to propose things, and they will begin to talk. After a while, they say that they'll begin just to set the tone, and because although this is probably done in tandem with both of you taking turns and things like that, for the sake of conversation, getting this game to give you an example of what the trials might be, they are going to begin. So first of all, coming forward will be Mulin, and he will introduce himself. He'll say, "I, Mulin," and he looks very seriously at you and says, "Wrathfist." He has decided on a name for himself. You're not allowed to do that. Cool. Names have to be given to you, but he seems pretty attached to it. And after making sure you don't giggle at him immediately, he will say, "I make a proposal for the dark season." The the pronunciation is going to be difficult in this one. The Gedje Hills are to the east of here, and they are filled with bandits and beasts. The farms there that have been raided by bandits are filled with, when beasts escape the raids, they become bandit-wise. They know the tactics of humans, and they flee from hunters. And they are smart. They use the land, and they evade capture.
Sick.
I propose a challenge. We will arrive at the Gedje Hills, and we will attempt each to capture or to hunt a bandit-wise beast. Would you like to have that happen at midnight or at noon? That's up to the two of you.
I would strongly suggest midnight.
Midnight would probably work. She has her hands on her hip while he's talking, and she says, I have questions. These creatures are potentially a threat to your lands, yes?
Well, they stay somewhat into their hills, but the Gedje Hills are between our villages. Whatever threat they present to us, they present as well to you.
So this threat to your village that is in such close proximity, you left your post to sneak into our lands and to steal something that belongs to us?
Yeah.
You left your village vulnerable?
Hell yes.
You left your village vulnerable to such creatures to steal something that was ours? And she's this is the bully, right? Yep. She's intentionally like, let's see if I can get him off balance now, because I know when somebody does it to me, I'm off for the rest of the day.
I love that. I love that so much. Immediately, he's pissed, and thematically, narratively, you've got him. He's going to focus on you, everything like that. Let's see if we can throw in a mechanical effect on top of this. Okay. I could see you using fast talk to try and throw him off. I could see you using intrigue to try and sort of pull something out of him to trick him. I could see you using. Even orate, if you're just kind of loudly proclaiming his failures. Oh,
yeah, because this is a public thing. These creatures are really dangerous, and you left overnight to come and steal something from. Oh yeah, so it'll definitely we'll do orate on that one.
Fantastic. Let's go with an orate roll.
Such a good call.
Beautiful. May I augment with my hatred of bullies?
Oh yeah, absolutely you can.
Amazing. That is a 60, to which she rolled a 46.
Okay, all right, so that is plus 10. Sorry, no, wait. One moment, let me confirm. That might be a plus 20. Let me just hold on.
Stand by.
Standing by as I confirm, because I don't want to make a success. It is a plus 20.
Okay, plus 20. So let's make sure the sheet is right. 45, 55, 65, so 75. And I'm going to learn a new mechanic today. I rolled a 75.
Oh, okay,
hey,
fantastic.
Right is it below the number, or do you just have to hit the number?
You have to hit the number. So that is a success.
Good augment there. Fucking hell.
You
barely got that off.
He holds himself, and then eventually, his face is impassive. He knows you're baiting him, and he keeps it away. And he turns and he walks back, and maybe you throw out one last line, one last barb that gets
Who's
him.
Who's gonna do the patrols at midnight tonight? No one? Okay.
Spins around and you will see. I will prove myself to you. And kind of rage and anger in his eyes, and his team pulls him back, and they will step away.
Old Rathfist.
Immediately following that little bit of tension, Corlin is going to come up. And much more kind of hunched over, and he will say, "All right, I am Corlin."
Which is midnight for the previous one, just to flag.
Midnight, yes, heard.
Yeah,
understood. Corlin will come up, hunch over a little, and he will say, much more timidly, and right following that little bit of tension, to cool heads and to demonstrate that at current times, although we are historical rivals, our clans are united against the Lunars. I propose that for Earth season, we both make gifts of harvest, and whoever gift is grander and kinder will succeed the challenge. Nods a few times. Noonday or midnight? I mean, midnight it'll be cold and not as fun to get. I'd rather sleep.
Noon is fine.
Thanks. And he will turn back.
Corlong?
Yes.
Question. Whose idea was it to take it?
We decided together. Do you want to roll an intrigue? He's so obviously lying, but it's whether. Sorry, not intrigue. Insight. He says we decided together. He's so obviously lying. But it's just whether you can tell the truth from just his demeanor.
She's gonna try before she rolls. She's gonna say, "Well, of course you decided together as a group, but who proposed the ideal originally?"
I'm sorry. What exactly do you want to know?
Oh yeah. Of course you decided as a group, but who proposed the ideal originally? It had to have had an origin. Someone suggested it.
He starts to stutter so badly he's almost like not getting words out. But as you push the issue further and further, you will see his eyes flick again and again towards Fala.
Did not see that one coming.
Other fellas not intelligence enough to put together a plan like that.
All right.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Excellent. So once they've stepped back, it now falls to the two of you. What trials would you two like to propose?
So, I've already kind of got a hunt. There's already a hunting one in the pool, which is my specialty. And so I was looking at the fire element because I want it to be appropriate. I think that's fun. One of the weapons is bow in there, so I could kind of angle for that. But I also like the idea. So it's about here we go. It's about purification, destroying polluting matter, being perceptive and idealistic. I'm thinking something like you have already hidden the piece somewhere in your village. We will have, it's up to us to find it, like kind of go for like and say like, so the fire one is the second piece, the second day. I would say you propose a deadline during that day and we will try and seek it out by then. Does that kind of suit you? I mean, it's not really like a versus thing though. It's kind of like this one's already begun.
I think you can name the trial. That would definitely be a non-standard one, but it's your place to speak it. And it can be spoke.
I suppose I'll basically say, all right, I got it. So I'll say, for the trial of fire, we have spoken already of each clan's great skill at sneaking into the others and taking that which should not be taking that which should not be stolen, I will propose each side hide a relic within a chosen plot of land, and it is up to the opponent to find it first and return it to the rest. So both teams basically capture the flag.
Yep.
But with a single thing. So we both hide an item within a square mile, and then the other team. So it's about perception, which is very fire, rune.
Yep.
That's kind of it. And so it's hide it and then find the other one.
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. They will say that this is the fire season, which is obviously to do with the sun. So they will suggest noon for that one, since they can pick the time. And they will step away, which leaves just the sea season, the mercurial season.
So I'm going to throw this out here, and then David, out of character, in character, kind of go back and forth with me and let me know where I stand. My first gut was like, I'm sure there's a water source somewhere near. We crossed a river. They camp by the river. We could easily do any type of like a diving competition or a swimming competition. That felt like natural. But I took some notes. And by the way, I absolutely love the Runecrest lore. It is just so rich and it's so open to narrative and interpretation. I just really love it. Sorry for the sidebar. So one of the notes I took down on the water rune is that its primary sense is taste, which I thought was really interesting. She's a kitchen freak. So I'm almost leaning towards versus doing a water-bound competition, almost doing like a cook-off and having those three people who were babysitting us do a blind judge. There were three of them. There's Vorman, Izette, and Orlando, and they can choose, which of the two dishes were the best.
Yeah,
and
hell
that
yes.
person wins.
If I can throw in something else on top of that, that might be interesting. So the Orlanthe seasons typically have a corresponding season to our real world. So the fire season is summer, the earth season is autumn, the dark and the storm season are both kind of winter, just different forms of like the sort of calm and dead winter, and then the wild and blustery winter. And the sea season generally corresponds to spring, which is when a lot of kind of, although the harvest takes place during Earth season, a lot of sort of exotic plants and ingredients and things like that become available in the spring. If you like, you could make this cook-off to do with a specific thing, a symbol, something for the area, something that you feel fits this moment.
It's the cooking challenge, and your secret ingredient is
your special ingredient.
Your special ingredient is this local spring. Yeah, so
hell yeah,
lovely. I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. Would you like to name or create an ingredient? Otherwise, I can suggest something to you.
Oh, can I go completely random?
Please do whatever you would like. Duck, they'll get pretty cross.
Oh, the we had a oak tree in the center of ours, correct?
Yes, the Oak of Vengeance, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost too. We have to go. It has to be something oak based.
Yeah.
Something oak based. If we're gonna name the challenge, I might as well give myself some home court advantage here. Yeah. We're gonna do something with oak.
Absolutely.
What's their village called again, Jim?
Greenstone. And so named because there is moss over all the stone structures in the village. So they would pick moss or something like that.
Right.
Something like that. Edible kind of.
They do moss and we do oak. That's kind of a cool, like the basis for it. That's good fun.
Okay.
It's
fantastic.
So rich. I absolutely love this game.
Hell yeah. Cooking competition.
Brilliant. So with that, the terms are set.
Midday cook-off or midnight cook-off?
They all say midday for something like that. It seems the most sensible. So the only one, therefore, that will take place at midnight at this stage is going to be the dark season hunt. Although perhaps since it will be a dangerous time, perhaps if you arrive at the jewel, you should have it at midnight, just to make it extra cinematic. But in the meantime, we have the initial sort of goal and idea. After making your agreements, Theoretically, then the next day you will all return for the sea season, and you will have the first of the trials. That is to be Iratia's cook-off, or this contest that you will have, and they will go to speak to their village, and they will go to prepare. And they will explain that they will meet you at the halfway point between the villages, and you can go from there.
Oh, so the idea is we go home for the. Wasn't it like a day more travel? Didn't we have to hoof it?
It's you have to hoof it. You would definitely have to hoof it. But I do want to point out a couple of things very quickly. So first of all, you basically have a day to prepare for each challenge. Gives you some time to go and take additional steps. You also theoretically might want to be getting news back to the people of your village, and they might have the option to assist you with any of the things that are happening. Now that said, you made a promise that you would not leave, and you would specifically that you would not return home. So as the collection of you walk out, presumably you realize, oh God, we're going to have to camp, somewhere weird. We're going to have to do this. And secondly, you're going to have to find an oak tree, because you can't get back.
We can't go home.
You can't go unless you want to break your promise.
That fucking rules.
So you'll have to try.
Great. I love that.
You'll have to try.
But they have to find one too.
Unless you're allowing them to use moss. I didn't particularly understand. Were you allowing them to use theirs? Or that's up to you.
They can use theirs. That's
all right. Okay,
we'll take the challenge. We'll smash them. She'll be right.
They will be making their preparations. Now you can request sanctuary in the Temple of Onalda for the duration of this competition. You would probably be able to sleep there, but until that, otherwise, you might want to be just camping in the outskirts of the forest or at the village, wandering through the All Living Lands, which you currently have rite of passage through. You have 24 hours roughly. It's a bit after noon when your three challengers will head off to inform their village and to make their preparations. What conversation do you have? What do you want to get ready? And when will we head to the first challenge? So
it's a 1v1 during the actual challenge, right? So we put someone forward and they put someone forward, and then they clash. What's the level of preparation? Is it we spend the full day for this cooking challenge, for example, getting everything ready, and then it's just the actual putting it together? Or is it kind of you're not supposed to, you're supposed to do it all?
I think you can come with bags, and you can come already for this, but you'd be putting it together in front of each other, as long as the bulk of it. And this challenge was specifically, cooking, crafting, putting something together for spring. So for the sea season. So I would say that the preparing of the feast, you're a hunter, Telos. You know that just getting the meat is not part of the feast. It's part of hunting, part of your purview. It's similar to what you were doing previously in the first session.
So I think we're happy to camp in the temple, right? That seems the most suitable.
She looks surprised, because Bridget is also surprised. I didn't think you'd want to sleep here.
I think it's best to keep an eye on things. Also, if we're there, we can see the statue. Make sure they do nothing more to it.
Okay. Then we'll sleep here with Mom.
All right. You'll be granted quarter.
Yeah.
What do you do for your 1 day of preparation?
So, I think it's obvious that you take the cooking challenge, Aratia.
Yes, but it's also going to be a conversation, as you guys are, or as we're laying down to sleep, it's I'm an idiot. Why did I choose oak? We can't go home. I don't have access to oak. I didn't see any oaks here.
We'll need to... What did we bring as a gift? Remember, we brought them something to show that we were coming. We brought a piece of my meat. Did we bring anything to wrap it in? Any portion of oak? A barrel? We only need a little.
There were a couple baskets. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Those oak?
Woven baskets would be a thing. I think that the most appropriate here, obviously, RuneQuest does not have a luck mechanic in the same way that Call of Cthulhu does. So I think the most suitable thing for this, I feel, is that you roll against your Earth rune just to see if you did. Happen to, which you are currently locked out of, Bridget. So unfortunately, it will go across to Telos. Do you have any Earth rune?
My Earth rune is 0. I thought we put points in that because we had the connection to our mother. I might have just not put that in. Either way, Aratia's one is just reduced by 20. It's still
just
technically
reduced by
roll.
20. Okay. In which case, Aratia. Yeah, you can.
Oh, here we go. Hang on. Arcu Stefan has just flagged that power times 5 is often used as a substitute for luck.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
Arcu Stefan. Great. No, let's go with that then. Power times 5. Which of you would like to make the roll?
I think it's your challenge.
Yeah, she'll take it.
All right.
Power times 5. That's 14 times 5. Someone help me with math while I roll.
70.
Thank you. Before I roll, I'm just going to ask Jim on the off random chance. If I get this off, can the roots that Mom grew be oak?
Oh, yeah,
pattern
100%.
that David described at the bottom?
Yeah,
That's so cool. That, you know what? Take plus
having
20% to this roll then, because that's such a, like, a great idea. I want to make the roll easy now. Yeah, that's so put it up to a 90.
Beautiful.
Whatever plus 20 would be for you. Sorry.
We hit a 30.
Okay, fantastic. That's absolutely within. So you're sitting there, you're going through your baskets, you're checking them to see if you can get anything out of this, and then it occurs.
Dried. I can't use this. This isn't going to have any flavor. I was stupid. Why did I make this decision?
And then no, downstairs, you figure it out. Oak.
Hell yeah.
You can head
Cooking
down.
with Mom.
Yep. Do you want to describe the process of like harvesting a bit of it? Is it like, I mean, obviously it's like so woven, and there are bits that are harvested from it pretty consistently. So this isn't like, you know, sacrilegious or anything like that. They would take from this shrine room, and Alana will be happy to let you in. But do you want to talk a bit about the process of getting that, since it seems like it's a very, you know, connected moment to your mother?
Yeah, this is a huge moment of connectedness, and it's also something that she's genuinely afraid of. So the idea hit her, but she's locked out of the Earth Room right now. I'll play into that one, and she also doesn't want to mess anything up. So I think after not the allegiance, but the consideration that Olana demonstrated yesterday, that she would actually ask her for help.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Yeah, I love that. In which case, Alana will nod graciously, and she will take you down, and she probably walks you through a very minor ritual where you pray at the small shrine, and then you step over, and she will hand you like a curved sickle, which you can use to very carefully cut out pieces of these like roots from an oak tree, which you'll be able to boil together with a variety of other ingredients. Now,
Perfect. Each incision is super careful. She's looking over her shoulder, like here, this way, at an angle, straight through. Okay, and this one, so it's a very reverent, very mother-daughter moment there.
Yeah, that's lovely. You know, a very you know, obviously there is a substitution here, but you know, your mother isn't here, and Olana can sort of do it, and she knows your mother too. So I think it's very beautifully. As I mentioned, it's sort of just after noon when you guys finished this discussion, so you had a full day to prepare. So this won't take very long. You can make any other preparations you'd like. One of the things you want to think about is just where you're getting other ingredients for the rest of this meal that you're putting together. You could go and try and source them yourself. So tell us, you could be heading off and trying to hunt something inside the All Living Lands. Otherwise, you could just, you know, it would be very normal to make a request that they provide you with some goods, although there's always the possibility that they don't give you very nice stuff. And you might not want to use their stuff depending on how you want to do things.
I'm very much following direction during this period, but I can go and I can try and hunt if that will suit. I guess it depends what you're making. I mean, you're a brewer by trade, right?
I'm a brewer by trade, yeah, but she has really high cooking, and by really high, I mean for a 17-year-old kid, she has a high cooking.
Yeah, hell yeah.
When you pick the crafter background, you get to pick two crafts. So you are effectively equal brewer to you are a cook.
Brewer.
You know, you are.
Yeah.
You are very talented at this. The judges that you named for reference, obviously, are Rosette the Winged, Vorman Bug Builder, and Olana Stone Tender herself. I mean, I don't know how far you want to go here. Are you going to be visiting them and trying to like figure out flavor profiles? Like this is over to you. How do you want to prepare for this?
No, you know what it is. When she is off balance, when she's off kilter, when she's all over the place, she throws herself into her craft. That is one place that she is always safe, that she is under control. And that's one place that's just kind of like her natural habitat. So I don't think she's going to go around doing flavor profiles. She's not going to do any recon on what the other group is going. She's going to mobilize Telos as if he were just like, one of the kids in her kitchen that she's ordering around. And I think what she wants to do is celebrate that fact that Telos had brought down this gorgeous deer. And then we actually took part of those proceeds and said, hey, we need to use it as a bribe token.
We do have
just
some
in case.
like smart. Yeah,
like that was a huge pride.
Wow,
and she recognizes that.
Yeah, and you didn't give the gifts over because you weren't really coming in the official capacity. So you do have that prime hunk of meat. Yeah, that's
that
fantastic.
huge meat. So with Telos's permission, she would ask to use that, and then if he could help her just run down certain ingredients, because she's recognizing from their trip over here, he knows what he's doing out in the wilderness. Like, clearly he knows what the hell he's doing out there. And I think we're going to go for some type of form of like chuck roast beef stew type of meal. So we're looking at hearty, we're looking at rich, we're looking at flavorful, and then it's all going to be accented with that oak.
All right.
Yes.
Brilliant. So for those last couple of ingredients, anything that you want to add on top, as your, I think let's get you to make a preemptive check, because you are preparing, as you said, you've spent this whole evening getting ready. So let's get you to make a cooking check, and tell us. I think that I could see. I don't know if survival is the most suitable here.
I don't think so. I think pointedly, I'm not a cook. I think it's probably a knowledge skill. I mean, I could just roll. I could roll my own attempt at the same thing, and I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah, I think
I've got farm. Could I use that to like track down some, fresh veg?
I think absolutely, yeah. Farm seems entirely valid to me. And you're not really looking for obscure plants at this point. You're probably looking for like turnips and onions. So yeah, wild carrots or whatever. So yes, absolutely.
And I do. Actually, I'm just going to them and requesting them to give us things. This is then me like doing a cursory just quality check. Make sure they're not they've poisoned us.
What would they bring us?
It's great. Okay, so make for me a farm check, then tell us, and I'll get you to make a cooking check. Craft cooking check for me. All right, yeah. Not great?
No, I do not have a very high farm. I have failed.
Okay, fantastic. And Aradia, how was your cooking roll?
Just a regular success. I got a
regular success. Okay, look, you'll take that.
This is the prep one.
Tell us, you head over to Vorman Bugbuilder, who, as I mentioned, is the harvest master of the Orleving, and wander through all the various hives and, ant farms and structures half sunk into the ground that he has. And you make a request for several pieces of ingredients. He will come out with a small, box, which he will hand to you, and, respectfully say he looks forward to, this endeavor, and he thinks that it is, although it is competition, it is in the spirit of cooperation, and he approves of it. That said, you're not sure if the ingredients are great. You have a cursory look at them, and you go,
I will just ask him as well as I'm doing it. I'll say, this is suitable for a competition for the god. This is not poison. This is not rotten. This is good.
It's not poisoned. It's not rotten. It's suitable. Of course.
You're the one to eat it, and then I'll head off.
Absolutely. So returning downstairs, when you were handed this produce, look, it's not poison, it's not rotten. What it is, there's not a fantastic range of stuff, and it's not super, super good. But that's okay. So what we're going to do is, for your success, Iracha, I'm presuming you're preparing a bunch of stuff. You're going over what you're gonna you do some tests probably on like boiling the roots and making sure that they are palatable, and figuring out exactly how you're going to use them. And that preparation is going to, once we get into the actual competition, give you a plus 20 to your roll to try and get your best result. Now tell us, having failed, they gave you okay ingredients. Yeah. You're not going to take a penalty, but you are not adding anything to this. That is the competition. That is the extent of it.
Easy peasy.
Okay.
So the temple is filled that evening with the smells of like cooking food, and you maybe even find it a bit difficult to fall asleep because there's this very pungent, one of 100 roots that have been boiled. But eventually, you will get rest, and then preparing for noon, you will be able to head towards the center of the of Greenstone Village and get ready for the first trial. Are there any final preparations you want to take?
Ooh.
No?
I have complete faith.
Okay. Fantastic. So, that morning, you get up, you head out. When you arrive in the town center with your equipment and bags in hand, you will find that the clan hall has actually been opened. They've put significant effort into getting it, and they've lit a fire in the central hearth, and there are lots of people sitting about. At the head table will eventually, over time, the three judges will come and they will sit at it. So Izette, Vormon, and Orlana, and they will wait patiently until you arrive alongside the other three rival youngsters, and standing opposite each other. Eventually, Fala will step forward and she will say, well, we have selected our representative, who will be representing the two of you.
I will.
All right. You step forward. Fala steps away, and cracking his neck, Musin steps forward and rolls up his sleeves and kind of like slaps at his stomach as if he's going into a fight. But he just seems like, apparently he's going to be the one who is preparing this feast. There would be some...
Roughneck the cook. Well done.
Wrathfist.
Deliberately messing up his last name.
He continues to glare. You've really got under his skin. And you bet that he might have pushed for this. He'd be, I'm going to be the one to do it. I'm going to be one to do it. All right. So eventually there'll be some basic ritualistic elements. Orlana probably stands and reiterates that this competition is to win the favor of the gods. And then before long, you will step forward, you will gather around that central hearth, and with the entire village watching, you will begin to cook. Do you want to describe your process, Aracha?
Yeah, for a woman of low intelligence mechanically, I think that is her absolute lowest score. It's a 10. She's one of those people that can't follow. So different forms of people who cook. You have people who follow the recipe, by the number, by the letter, by the ounce, and then there's those people that taste as they go, and it's a very fluid, intimate experience. She is the latter. Mm-hmm. So she has all of her ingredients out in front of her. This is everything from her cinnamon and her clove, which were probably gifts in the basket, that gorgeous piece of meat that we have salted and prepared, all the ingredients that her brother was not able to bring back, but also still requested. So she still has them. It's all set out. And the one thing that she naturally does, and it's something that she probably doesn't want to do at this particular moment, but she can't help it. She does an eye count on how many people are in the room. And she goes into the feeding method with the ideology of I have to feed everyone here. The current tavern count is X. I have to feed everyone. Even though she's only really preparing a bowl for 3 people, just that sense of harmony and community kicks in. And she's like, as much as I really hate this town and I hate these, well, at least 2 of these kids right now, just like me, that priestess has been kind to us. They have given us shelter and they agreed to my brother's terms, which I still think were pretty boss. So just naturally, she's going to go into, I need to feed everyone here.
All right. Fantastic. Tell us.
She's a big singer when she cooks too. So
that's awesome. Since tune starts to come through. Tell us from the outside, do you have anything you want to add to seeing your sister in her elements? Does this evoke anything in you?
I think I step to the side and I watch everything. I'm watching both sides going through this, and Telos is focused on the trials first and foremost, and he's running it out. He's going, how many of these do we need to win? And how far ahead are we currently? And he's thinking, which one do we do all up? And I think he's very engrossed in it. But I think over the course of this, as the smell begins to go through, it's that very scent-driven memory sort of thing. I think he begins to get, his mind begins to be taken away from just the calculated trials and more focusing on watching his sister work. And I think seeing the influence of their shared mother here as well, and beginning to sort of, see that sense of family that, maybe they haven't shared for quite a while.
Ooh, great.
But he says nothing, and he watches everything.
It's homely. I love that. And it's a nice counterpoint to when you stayed at Irach's inn after returning from the woods. You know, this is much more of a collective experience instead of one of you going to bed early and one of you sitting outside observing the dawn with tears in their eyes. But this is homely. This is nice. And you work and you begin to launch into things. I would like you to make a cooking check.
I'm so stressed out about this role, guys.
This is a new scene, so you can augment this if you would like. Now, I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, upon seeing you go, I made you roll earlier. I made you roll that orate check to try and set Musen off, and you succeeded. He sees you trying to feed everybody and he says, I can do that. And he starts to do it. And he wasn't prepared for it, but he just grabs more. And as a result of your succeeded orate check previously, we are going to dock 20 points from him, make it a harder roll. Right? Now, he does have cooking skill. He's not terrible at it. So he has some capacity to succeed here.
Okay. I'm so stressed out. The angry girl is singing songs that her mom sang in the kitchen. I'm going to augment with harmony. We're going to stick with the Feed the Village, which is a 75. She rolled a 99.
Oh, no.
It's happening.
Oh, that is catastrophic. Okay, now let me calculate. Is that a fumble?
Just so y'all can enjoy that one, that 99.
99. I believe that is going to be a fumble. I'd be very surprised if it isn't, but let me just run that out. That is so 2 times.
What's your skill in what level do you have in it? I think it might not be a fumble. What do you say? You're 75?
75 is what I was trying to hit.
Yeah,
only 100. You are one off a fumble.
Oh my god!
It's just a fail.
Fumble would have been truly disastrous because you actually fall into despair and you become unable to act. Like you would have just kind of like lost it and sat there and been unable to do anything.
Oh god!
Very close. Only the fact that you are genuinely an expert chef saving you here, since you have a lot of points in it. Oh my god. And it's a fumble at 70, as chat has just pointed out. So if you had 5 points left, you would have.
God!
But fortunately, you are not. It's just a regular failure, which means that you need to subtract 10 from the roll.
Again, it's a rune.
It's a rune. Sorry, it's a rune.
I'm getting locked out of all my runes.
I keep thinking it's
genuinely. So this is a question for later. Don't worry about it.
No, leaving it to the side then. In which case, let's jump on in. You can still add plus 20 for the preparation that you did previously. So what is the skill that you are going for?
This is just pure cooking.
Pure cooking.
So 45. So it's a 65 is what I would typically be rolling at. I am not adding or subtracting anything from.
Not subtracting anything. You are adding plus 20, which will bring you to 85, I believe.
85. Still stressed out, guys? Okay. 2.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, 2. Jesus!
That's fantastic.
It's gonna be the best meal I've ever had.
Oh my god. All right, so that is absolutely a critical. So you dive in and you begin to completely smash this out.
Love it.
And you start feeding people too. This is totally within your wheelhouse. You're creating this incredible meal. You've got this prime beef cut that this prime meat cut that Telos has brought for you, but you have a vicious opponent with a negative 20 to their cooking roll, and they are going to
poison everyone else.
They are going to get a 007. So that is a very good roll, but for them, it is not a critical. Because of the reduced score, it is only a special success. So what happens is this incredible suite where genuinely Musen is so confident. He comes in and he is working at this. He is doing everything he needs to. He's creating this fantastic meal. But yours is just on a whole other level. His is special, Yours is above that. And eventually, by the end, you will have served everybody, and because all of the food is so grand, everyone will eat all of it from both of you, and the entire, the entire clan hall is sitting there holding at their stomachs. And I mean, genuinely, this has got to be some kind of, at least, soothing of tensions in the face of all the animosity that has occurred.
Food
The
brings
judges
people
will
together.
speak to each. So the judges will speak to each other, and grudgingly, by the end, in a vote of 2-1, with Izet the Winged being the only person who voted against you, the result will swing in favor of the Varmandi, and the trial of the sea season will be declared for the two of you.
Boosh.
Oh, that amount of relief that just goes over her is just like she lost 40 pounds, and all she can do is just like lock eyes with her brother wherever he is on the other side of the room, and just.
Fantastic. I love it. All right. After you were presented with your Iron Chef medal, no, I'm kidding. You'll
be trained at one of the top restaurants in Johnstown. And then you'll go on to have your own.
Exactly. Yeah. You will step outside. Musin is like. He's always angry, but at this point he looks mostly angry with himself and just like despondent, because he did his best and he did really well.
He did well.
And it just wasn't enough. Eventually the two of you kind of, as everyone's leaving, will have a moment facing each other. Do you needle him, or do you give him an out here? What's your...
Well, let's find out.
Rolling against.
Well,
what did you roll against? Give us the background.
So the background of what it is, I'm going 51 and above, be a complete asshole, and then 50 and below actually be the community person that she is in her core. And she hit a 47.
Ooh.
So that'd be probably one of those moments she's getting ready to leave, and she can see him outside seething, simmering in his own disappointment, and she's gonna go back in and like get a bowl of whatever he made. What did he make, by the way?
Ooh, that's a good question. I suppose it would have been something moss-based. So let's assume he basically managed to mix the moss into this kind of like sauced curried thing, and then put stewed meats inside it with a bunch of grains of some sort.
Ooh, moss
rice
curry.
Or something like that, lentils.
Okay. So she's going to come out with that bowl. This is very intentional. Like, she literally walked back in to come back and do this. So she's walking out with that bowl. And she is going to go shoulder to shoulder with him, and she's going to just like antagonizingly slow take that spoon in and like get a sip, and like it's just everything is bleeding down the path of she's getting ready to say something reckless. She's going to say something about you lost. She's getting ready to like smack you in the face. She's about to say something reckless. Like, it's just that moment is coming, and she swallows and she says, "It's actually really good," and then she's just going to walk away.
He doesn't say anything either. You can see every retort, every insult that he would have been brewing from the moment he realized he was going to lose, holding in his face, but he too keeps it back, and the two of you can step away. That's fantastic. Now, obviously, down the line with passions and runes in RuneQuest, you always have the ability to sort of maneuver them, to raise them or to lower them as you see fit. You might end up, as a result, bringing up your harmony rune or something like that down the line. But I think that, considering we are not creating circumstances for you to have a day to meditate, I'm going to exercise my GM right and say that for such a harmonious action, I think as the scene ends, as this trial is over, we might give you access back to your harmony rune, so you can restore that as per to normal, and continue on.
I love this game, and I love you. Woo!
Excellent.
How harmonious.
I really like that. I really do like the runes to dictate direction in situations thing. It can lead to interesting options. I think it's a really fun way to sort of determine an angle to take on things.
Yes. Well, on that note, what was the question you were going to ask? Does that relate to runes and the structure of them? Because if this might be a good time to go into that.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering if you reduce 20% of like, so let's say I roll against my beast and I reduce it by 20%. Does my man go up 20% for the duration because they have to equal 100?
Yes, they always have to equal 100. So off the top of my head, I haven't read a specific rule.
So I just try and fumble the other one and bump it back.
I mean, that could end up with you getting locked out of both, I suppose, which might completely throw you into disarray because yeah, you are you're thrown out. But yes. Anyway,
Go Bands.
Continuing on. So, after this meal, which is kind of had around lunchtime, it was a slower thing and more involved. So you probably get out just before, late afternoon, early evening, which means that the next trial, once again, to say that was the trial of fire.
Fire.
That was C.
Is going
fire.
Yeah. So that was trial of C. So this coming up this is coming up the trial of fire.
Fire.
Which, as established, is going to be kind of capture the flag as you need to hide something and you need to find it. You now have a day to prepare for that. I want to throw out a couple of other things to you at this point. You've now spent, you traveled there, you spent the whole day preparing, and now you are heading into the evening on your second day inside Greenstone Village. Your tribe have not heard from you. You're not sure whether, Lurgan is still yelling that you should get a raiding party to go together because you've been killed.
Warband on the horizon.
Right, on the horizon. As we're playing Capture the Flag.
As we're cooking. Like, what the fuck
Exactly.
are you guys doing?
We're cooking.
You guys cooking food for them? You like you're getting your shit back.
Whether the kid you loved, Quayor, is going to be sort of like, just waiting, pining for your return on like a widow's walk sort of situation.
Oh.
So you may want to try and figure out some kind of way to get news back or make some kind of decision around that. But I also want to speak ahead because there's a couple of problems that could be facing you guys in the future. When these challenges were issued, they did not know about the promise that you weren't going to return to your village. So this was not deliberately fiendish by them. But one of the ideas is a gift of the bounty of your harvest, which, unless you choose to return to your village, you are going to be almost inherently precluded from winning.
And that is very much what Tellus was thinking about earlier. And he has basically determined that they need to win the first two challenges so that they can, because if the Tellus's plan is if we win the first two challenges, we will basically yield the third, take the loss, and then pair up to win the final, the dark, so we never go to storm, is in his head. So he's currently going, if we're fine, we're fine. Also, because he was thinking of throwing that one anyway, and just kind of as a get stuffed, have them bring us gifts, and then we give them nothing, and just kind of like a like a dick move, where they basically bring stuff to our village and we give them nothing.
Then we default.
Yeah, we just win-win.
That's fantastic.
So currently, this plan is just win the first two.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're absolutely right. And if you fail a single one, then best case scenario, this goes to the storm. Basically, that's the only way that you will be able to find that.
So currently, it's if we lose this next one, this flag, then we will, I think, need to think of something very quickly to find a way to get a message back. For the time being, it's still sort of, this is in hand. We have this.
The other point is that if you're refusing to leave, you don't necessarily have a lie of the land. That evening, sort of that afternoon afterwards, you'll have a brief conversation about any logistics that are needed for the next day. And what will be decided is that Orlana is going to provide both of you with these carved stone symbols bearing an image of your clan. So the Varmandi, interesting, these would have been taken from the Greenstone Temple, which has symbology for all of the nearby clans, even and tribes, even rival ones, because the sort of duties of the gods can often they bypass this. The Orlanthi are united by their nature and the gods they worship. Yours would be a small rock with a symbol of a badger carved into it.
Yeah, the badger.
Varmandi are occasionally called the Badger Clan, which I think I gave to you all in the deep lore. But yes, and then the Greenstone village, that is the Orlevin clan, have their own one. And they are going to pick somewhere to hide it, and you are going to have to pick somewhere to hide yours. You might want to try and find a good hiding place, because at this stage, you really haven't done any prep work. You don't even know what region you might want to pick.
I would suggest that's part of the challenge, is you have an hour to hide and find, or do they want us to hide it beforehand? Because I feel like too wide a section like that. What's the location? Like,
yeah,
because if it's the entirety of the thing, you just fire it into the sun.
You put forward the challenge, so they'll pick the location and they'll say their village to give them
we have the entirety of the village.
Yeah, exactly. But that, you don't also necessarily have great access around the village and you don't know where is suitable. Of course, the idea is you pick somewhere and you go and you find it and you hide it. But just like them, there is an understanding that you're probably eyeing everywhere and trying to figure out an idea beforehand. So if you want to do any preemptive prep work, that's something that you could do. Then also there's, are you getting word back to your village? So basically, what are your plans this evening? What are your preparations for the following morning?
So I will tell you, Iracha, that if we can win these 2 challenges, we do not need to try the third, and we can return to our village. The first word they will hear from us is our victory, as we return with 2 pieces of the statue. However, if we lose this coming challenge, then we may need to seek a way to get word, so that A, we can prepare a gift, and so that we can let them know that the challenges are continuing.
So she's thinking hard about it. She said, so the soonest they would hear from us is our victory on night 4?
And they're done.
Do you think they will wait that long? We are not a patient people.
But I think they will know that we were doing everything that we can. These are how names are made.
Do you think Lurgan will wait 4 days?
I don't know.
There is
and
always
she's
a
going
risk.
to pull herself to her feet. Maybe Orlana can send a runner with a message.
That would be wise.
Then there's that weird, awkward, like something else should probably be said. And then she just walks away.
Fantastic. Orlana can organize a runner. Obviously, exactly what kind of what deference your clan give to it, it remains to be seen. What do you want the runner to communicate? What do you want them to say?
I'm imagining that she probably can't actually read or write, so this is probably going to be asking Orlana to write a message.
Very few people. I mean, there would be a couple in your clan who could, but the standard would be just to tell a runner to say something.
Oh, just to tell a runner?
Yeah. Deliver a message. Yeah.
Oh God, it would be something super short and probably not emotional at this particular moment. It's like, we're fine. Like that's probably going to be.
We'll be back soon with the page.
Yeah, we'll be back soon. We're fine.
Do you explain the details of the contest, or is it just that blunt? It is.
Nope, let's not even. Nope, just we're fine. We're handling it. We'll be back as soon as we can.
Do we want them to do anything to prepare for the third challenge, though? To prepare a gift?
I mean, when we're sending a runner, we could possibly, that runner could bring something back with them.
We're trusting this random, though.
Yeah,
my instinct is still.
Remind me about that challenge. It's the gift. It's the
gift. We have to each clan basically tribe. Whatever, each town sacrifices something, like a gift to the other.
I also want you just to flip over and imagine this from the perspective of the Varmandi tribe, who receive a runner from the Orleving, who they know have robbed them, who are their rivals, and the Orleving envoy says, "We'd like you to get together. The people you sent are fine. They're not here, but they're fine. And we want you to get all of your best harvest things, and we want you to give them to us right now, please." They told us to tell you that.
My brother has a strategy. We're going to win 1, 2, and 4. We've got
Hell
it.
Yeah.
We're fine. Y'all stay home.
We're
good.
We ain't giving them shit.
So the message is we're fine, don't panic.
And we'll we'll tell them something that, we'll say we're here and we're staying in our mother's, like the cabin that our mother helped to build, so they know that it's us or something.
That's a very good point, and that's a very good, identifiable feature. And it's something that you're obviously, they know your mother, and they know that she participated in the construction of Greenstone and the ongoing maintenance of the shrine, so they would believe that.
Okay.
Excellent, clever move. All right, so runner is organized. And throughout the remainder of the evening, the two of you can rest. Do you want to do any scouting, either of you, of the village? Try and figure out a spot. This could help boost your roll the next day. If you can think of a justifiable action that you could take, which could help you, either surveillance or preparation. Or...
Yeah. I do want to search the village. But I'm not looking for a hiding spot. I'm looking for where they may have hidden the statue. The final piece.
Absolutely fantastic.
That is awesome.
Brilliant. What
Get the jump on him.
What are you going to be doing meanwhile, Aragia, across the evening?
I think as Telos is heading out, it's like, what do you need me to do?
If you can find somewhere to hide this, that is good. If you can spot where any of the other three are moving and where they might be hiding theirs, that is better. But we don't want to overplay. Wander the town, see what you see. And trust that we will win in the day.
Okay. I think it's an out-of-game question. They might be in-game too, so I'm just going to flirt the question out. Are we allowed to use, like, magic during these competitions? Like, would it be cheating to, like, dark walk and follow them around for the rest of the night to see what they're doing? Is that a truth?
No, I mean,
illusion rune? Is that against the rules?
I think that probably directly interfering with them, as in, like, blasting them with some kind of curse, would be fine. But actions that you take yourself, I think, would be entirely valid. So you could dark walk and wander around. Absolutely, that would be fine. That is said, it's another rune point, and definitely not until the end of the trials will you be given a chance to restore some rune points.
That's your resource management.
We're gambling against the storm duel. If they decide that it's a duel of, like, magic or something, then we're...
Yep. No, good point. Okay, how big is this thing again?
The token that you're going to find is sized. Yeah, it's like a maybe the size of the phone as an analogy.
Okay. She'll take the token, she'll flip it in her hand a couple of times, she'll nod, and she'll pocket it and start walking around. See if she can find a good place to hide it. Basically,
and we're not actually hiding it now at the moment. We're just
not right now,
right? Yeah.
No, you're
The alternative would be, so actually I just thought of it. The alternative would be that you find a way to disguise the token. Given that you have your decent crafting, if you could find a way to veil it, like cover it in moss and things, so that it will be more easily placed.
I'm gonna bake it into a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. That's a great fucking idea.
It's not a bad idea.
It's hilarious. Put it right under the face.
There is a disguise skill, which would be
if you can bake it into something, I've got a great pitch. If you can bake it into a piece of bread or something, I would love that.
That's amazing. Okay.
All right. This is good.
Okay.
This is real good. This is great.
You don't need to roll for this. You're a cook. You bake it into a loaf of bread, which you prepare across the night.
This is a good.
You have there is still amazing scents coming up from the temple throughout the evening. It's not boiled oak roots this time. It's actually bread. Perfect. You'll have that when you return. But in the meantime, tell us.
I kind of want to change. I kind of want to go super cocky, and I don't want to search at all. I want to go out and I want to sit on the temple steps, and I want to watch just the town and just be very clearly not scouting. I want to just show them that we're so confident in our victory, because I already know where I'm going to put it.
Do you want to make an intimidate check to try and be getting inside their head, or is it just?
I don't have. I'm not a social guy. I think it's the truth thing. I think it's very truth rune. I am not searching because I do not need to. I'm going to win this. That's just the honest to God truth.
I love it. Okay, fantastic. So you head, you sit on the temple steps, you observe the town. You get to have a bit of a look at it, just like gazing about. You can see the temple, you can see the statue, you can see the insect burrows belonging to Bug Builder. You can see off to one side in the distance, there are the Valley Fields, which is the incredibly wonderful farmland that was taken from your clan when you had to leave it. You can see the armory at the back of the clan hall. You can see paths leading up to the barrow mounds outside the town where you know that the dead are buried. The barrow mounds are quite close to this area, another painful aspect of why you had to leave, because you had to leave the graves of some distant ancestors. But you sit there, You were definitely noticed once or twice by people, although you don't see any of your 3 rivals. You are sure that word of your position will spread. And the next morning, you can prepare and you can head in. Can I hear what your plan is with this spread? I'm interested to.
Yeah, wait, can we do it when the challenge begins? It's not super sneaky, I don't think. I think it's
absolutely.
I don't think you'll have an issue with it.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I think, because I'm aware of the time, we're gonna have the collection of you head in. You will arrive once again in the center of the town where a proper crowd has gathered, and noticeably at this point, you can spot a couple of people not from Oakton, not from the Varmandi tribe, but from other villages inside the Milani who have clearly heard about it and they've come down. Maybe they're hoping for a free feed again. But this word of this series of challenges is spreading at least a little bit. So there's actually quite a few people who are all standing about, all watching, as once again, Orlana will step forward and ask you to present the champion you have selected. In this case, stepping forward is... pardon me, once again, I have a terrible memory for names, is Fala, who steps forward and she kind of nods. She seems focused and clear. Who will be representing the 2 of you?
I will step forward.
Tell us. Excellent. And what is the... What do you do? What is the idea? Because we will... would you like to do it at the beginning of next session or at the end of now for a...
Can't wait to see this.
All right. So as we step forward, and as everything begins, tell us, not speaking, we'll head towards the statue, and in plain sight of everyone in the assembled tribes, we'll say, this contest is held in Analda's season, and we do it in her honor. For that, I make one final sacrifice, which I lie under her gaze and in her care, and I will place a loaf of bread brazenly before everyone, just before the statue, amongst the other trinkets and sacrifices given to Arnalda on this day, and then step back to go and search for their rune. And it's completely cocky. But I like the truth rune of it. Like, I'm not going to hide this. I'm going to put it exactly where they should look first. And we just hope that that works.
I absolutely love it.
That is amazing.
And before long, you will gather up and everybody will dart away. Will this ruse work? You're not sure, because if it doesn't, it means you are 100% going to the duel in the storm season, unless you can figure out some kind of way to get around the earth season problem.
Or I just need to find their one first. Speed up.
Exactly. There are 4 trials left. And who will come out with the statue, we will see next time. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. And that is the end of this session. Hooray!
Hot dog. Love a trial.
You all watching. Thank you so much, Bridget, for joining us. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us.
Thank you, James.
The 2 of you want to point at where people can find you on the internet?
Yes. If you want to connect with me about self-publishing anything on the Miskatonic Repository or the Johnstown Compendium, just an FYI, the Storytelling Collective's Write Your First Adventure workshop is actually coming out. I believe it starts on July 1st. It is not too late to sign up for that. Connect with me somehow, or just go to Chaosium's website. You'll be able to see it across the banner there. So if you're looking to write for RuneQuest or Call of Cthulhu, go do your thing, because somebody could be streaming the stuff that you wrote, and that could be really, really amazing. And then if you're looking to connect with me again, my email address is Bridget, you walk across 2 T's at chaosium.com.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Dave, want to jump in with anything?
Yeah, sure. G'day, my name's Dave. I'm online everywhere at Good Ship Fun Trip. We're also playing Call of Cthulhu later this week, so that'll be on Friday, US time, Saturday, the rest of the world. And we also have a Discord server, which we've sort of launched recently. So if you want to hang out, talk more about RuneQuest, Call of Cthulhu, things like that, anything on the Stream of Chaos, you can find us there. I'll put a link in the chat now.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week, and you can also see the Stream of Chaos game, as Dave just said. Thank you once again to Sirenscape for the fantastic music throughout this session. And remember that you can get the RuneQuest starter set, which is currently very nicely behind me right there, from chaosium.com or from your friendly local game store.
Can't say much.
Thank you all for watching. See you next time.